Hello and welcome to Crusher Talk. I'm your friend, Hayley Crusher Kane, and I'm walking two very misbehaving chihuahuas on this cloudy morning in Detroit, Hamtramck technically. Happy birthday to me. It is my birthday month of May. Just finalizing some possible plans. I like to usually kind of cluster events around the month, seeing friends and doing, fun stuff. Sometimes taking a trip. This year, May 23rd, we'll be in Denver at the Oriental Theater, opening for Screeching Weasel and the Dwarves, which is super exciting. And we may actually be in Denver on my birthday or traveling back to Detroit. We are going to be driving out, which is, it's a bit of a task, but we are looking forward to the drive, Dr. Kane and I, and we'll be bringing Gidget. And Manning will be at his favorite babysitter's house. And we try to take the time, to stop and just check out things along the way. So we'll see where we end up. And who knows, definitely, you'll probably get some Crusher Talk podcasts and from the vault stories and things, hopefully from the road. Really excited about Denver. The last time we played Denver was around 2018, I want to say. And we played the legendary Streets of London, which is no longer, sadly. But that's actually where we met our buddy Ruben Patino of the band Sack, also fills in for Teenage Bottle Rocket here and there. And he's the one that came out and filled in for us on our last March Weasel run back in March, which feels like 800 years ago. But it was really only a couple months ago. So it just goes to show when we go around to different places, we get this opportunity to meet new people. And it's not just like you meet people in passing. Sometimes you become friends. Sometimes you even become quasi bandmates. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing that music can connect, or any art can connect so many people together, and that's this sort of community that builds upon itself. And I'm awestruck about that as I look at our new drummer, Stacy, and how well she's doing and how she did on the road. Just really a trooper, becoming a road dog, and just killing it at these shows. It just makes me realize, this is somebody who was a stranger to me a couple months ago. And now we're spending lots of hours together, and we're in hotel rooms together, and we're learning about each other's lives and personalities and being there for each other and putting out this music into the world. And it's just really, really cool. Feeling very grateful today on this Tuesday. The last show that we did was Space Dive, which was really a great experience. So Space Dive is put on by a group of really meticulous, let's just call it like it is. They're theater kids. They're grown-up theater kids. And I can say that because my sister, who I love dearly, is a theater kid, or even a theater nerd, if you want to put it that way. Very talented in the theater arts, meaning the backdrops, the props, the ambiance, the music, everything, thinking about every little piece of the experience of walking into a performance, or in this case, into a full-on Star Warsian landscape, which included, I can't believe this, there was an outdoor area with, I think there were fire dancers or something. There was a food area that was all super authentic Star Wars looking. There was a tent. Our friend Annie, who's a singer in Lowcocks, our guitar player's other band, was manning the gambling tent. You were not allowed into the event unless you were dressed in Star Wars garb. No zippers allowed, no buttons allowed. Very much, they sent out like a full-on PDF of like you don't have to spend a ton of money to look like you are a desert dwelling Star Warsian alien. You just have to wear a lot of, as I said before, earth tones, but there were also, some just fabulously dressed Ewoks, and, we even saw Macho Man Randy Savage. I was surprised. I didn't think I was going to see Macho Man Randy Savage, who did give me a Slim Jim. And now I'm realizing I don't know where that Slim Jim went. Hopefully it's not just sitting in my coat pocket. Or maybe that's a good thing, because Slim Jims never die, just like Twinkies. So guess I have a snack waiting for me. Thank you, Macho Man Randy Savage. But I can't tell you how detailed this was. I'm doing a terrible job. The cantina, like that you saw in Star Wars with like the little flute music and all the funny aliens and stuff, that was all completely like to the T, perfect inside. They even had the blue drink that the people were drinking in the cantina back in I think it was the 70s movies. I mean, I know I'm showing my hand. I'm not really a Star Wars, completist. I came up during the time of the Revenge of the Clones or Rise of the Clones or Clones Wars. I mean, I remember Jar Jar Binks. So yes, I knew. It's like the same thing with Indiana Jones. I wasn't around. I wasn't a kid during the heyday of Star Wars or Indiana Jones. They were very vintage to me. So I kind of got a weird, and Back to the Future too. I missed that too. So I kind of just got this like backwards look at it, and then whatever newer renditions came out, which Star Wars had a million, it seems like, now with the TV show and all this stuff. I've missed out. Okay, so just sue me. I definitely said some things wrong on stage. For instance, our drummer Stacy was Padma, but I said she was Princess Leia, which in fact I was Princess Leia. And then Ryan, he kind of had a Han Solo look going on. He wasn't supposed to be Han Solo, but he became Han Solo on stage because I said so. His beautiful wife was a sexy Sith person, I want to say. She had sort of like a black makeup look on her face. Not blackface. But like black dots. And she had like, it's hard to describe, okay? I'm just going to send you the link. You're going to look at the link to the Detroit Metro Times article. Our friend Alan, who's a great photographer, Digital Racket on Instagram, took a bunch of photos. Just look at that and you'll see how cool it was, okay? It was freaking awesome. There were contortionists that were dressed kind of like droids. Is that what they're called in Star Wars? Robots, droids, kind of 3CPO looking thing. There was literally flying pole dancing. Didn't know flying pole dancing. I guess it's called flying pole. There was one green room in the back that was dedicated just to women, and I was lucky enough to be in the green room with both the contortionist, who goes by Puppet, and the flying pole performer, whom I will link, but I don't remember her specific Christian name. They were stretching and talking, and I got to kind of get a little bit of a glimpse into their world, which is very different than the sound check and the, vocal warm up and all the crap I do. It's like they're stretching. They were doing yoga. They were getting in the mind state. Anyways, flying pole is amazing. She was performing on a pole that was dangling from the ceiling. It was glowing. It looked like a lightsaber. It turned from blue to red. Speaking of lightsabers, Heather, Ryan's wife, had a very, let's just say it was an expensive, really cool lightsaber that when I felt it in my hand, felt so solid and heavy, I thought, this has to be real. It was so cool. It had a giant beam, laser beam. So yeah, flying poles is a thing that I know about now. And she was dancing on this flying pole as it was waving from the ceiling, and she was undulating and doing all sorts of weird stuff. It was awesome. It was artistic. It was beautiful. It was creative. I'd never seen anything like it. I will definitely link to that because that was something I took away from the experience. That's not just all about bands. We had a great reception. People were really enjoying us. I played barefoot for the first time. Living my Henry Rollins fantasy. Just kidding. But really, barefoot playing feels good. I was really nimble. I was both nimble and also found myself doing this sort of like Flintstones kind of stance where I had my feet real wide, and I don't know, it definitely made me play differently. My loincloth did not fall off, thank God. But it was great. It was a great time. The people that put it on also put on this event called Theater Bazaar, which was hosted at the historic Masonic Temple in Detroit. There were multi-floors, and it was a big Halloween experience that people would fly in from all over the world to go to, and they did not disappoint. They really brought probably as much love and attention as I can imagine to this as they probably did for Theater Bazaar. Never got to see Theater Bazaar, sadly. But they did. They were able to just, I don't know, dig deep and create these amazing set pieces. And the way, there was even like a corridor that was all lit up like you were on a spaceship. And you're walking through the spaceship, and it was just really, really cool. So props to Space Dive and the people that put it on. Met the organizers. They're super, super nice people. And we were interrogating them about how the hell they do this and make money. And they just were like, don't worry about it. By the way, this is a 5-day event that I believe ends on today. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah. With multiple bands. And what was I going to say about that? Don't remember, but props to them. We had a Star Wars backdrop that was like Hayley and the Crushers, but in Star Wars font. Yep, that was pretty cool. Would have been great if we could have had like maybe some stars like moving through space, kind of like the Star Wars intro, but that's okay. We did our best. We all did our best and pulled together. I'm reading Even the Good Girls Will Cry by Melissa Demar, I want to say. Her last name is French. She is from Montreal. She was the bass player in Hole after Hole's original bass player OD'd. And she wrote a memoir that is not just about her time in Hole, but about, I think, her experience is much about the 90s and the 90s alternative rock explosion and wave as Hole, and about Courtney Love's antics, which of course are super juicy and interesting, and I recommend it to anyone who's either Courtney curious or Hole curious. She did go on to play bass in Smashing Pumpkins. She talks a lot about Billy, who sounds, let's be real, he sounds insufferable, but I will say the story about how she met Billy on tour when they were an unknown band in Montreal or somewhere in Canada, and he was probably playing to 10 people, and one of those people threw a beer bottle at Billy, and Billy really just stood up for himself and was like, my band's awesome, I'm going to keep playing, and just had this confidence about him. And when he met Melissa, they kind of had a flirtation and a kind of a musical connection right away. And he said to her, one day you're going to join my band. And she's like, okay. Then it turns out both of them turn out to be in some of the biggest alternative rock bands of the 90s and are circling each other. Also, Billy was Courtney's boyfriend before she left Billy for Kurt. So it's just really interesting how these small worlds sometimes get picked up by waves, like it did in the 90s. Pop punk situation is a good example too. And people ride these waves, and maybe some people that started the wave fall off the wave, like Jesus Lizard and some other bands she mentions that I don't really know that much about. They didn't quite make it onto the surfboard, but some of these bands, they surfed, and the way they traveled, I guess I never really think about this, but the idea that some of these bands back in the day, the amount of money, $3 million to make Celebrity Skin by Hole, they were riding on private jets. I remember seeing Courtney Love on MTV throwing her makeup compact at Madonna while Madonna was being interviewed by Kurt Loder at the MTV Music Video Awards, and thinking she's just some like street urchin, and that's the persona that she played. And also the person she kind of is, right? But it's kind of amazing to think that the music industry at one time was that big and bloated. And to these days, even top tier stars and musicians are not really traveling that way. Unless you made your money back in the day and you're like Sting or something, you're not doing it that way. But anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit universally about something she brings up in the book, which I find so interesting and I really related to. She talks about how, every rock star, she kind of says that they're like superheroes. They take their personality and crank them up. Like Dr. Kane always says, be yourself, crank to 11 on stage, basically the WWE method of being a rock star. And I agree with that. But she talks about how at times people can buy into their personas a little too much. And that, yes, we need the persona, not to cover up who you are, but to fill a stage in a stadium and to play for thousands of people like they were playing at these amazingly giant festivals, which I just can't even, I have no desire to even go to one of those. It sounds so scary. You need that to fill up the stage and to have a presence and to, it's like if you're going to get your picture taken and you're not going to put lipstick on, that's fine. You don't have to put lipstick on, but you might get washed out. So there's that. And lipstick could mean anything. Leather jacket, putting a scarf on your, like Steven Tyler would put scarves on his microphone stand. These are all specific things that artists do and did to differentiate themselves and show bits of their personality. For instance, Courtney always wore these slips, these vintage slips, and sometimes with no underwear, and baby doll kind of look, to just give this juxtaposition of this angry, intelligent, troubled woman who had just lost her husband against this like pure kind of, what you expect a girl to be, quiet and subservient and like a little girl. And I thought, I don't think we gave her enough credit back in the day that we should have. But anyways, we're talking about the persona thing. And she said, that there's people that become their personas. And Courtney at one time did. And also Melissa at one time did. And she said she didn't like it because her persona, as sort of the intellectual art student of the bunch kind of thing, she kind of saw herself outside of it. So she became sort of this ice princess on stage where she became very stoic, which is great on stage to have someone who's sort of the straight man, the Dr. Kane is the straight man, to play off of. So she kind of became this sort of ice princess on stage. And at one point she was kind of trapped inside of it. Like it was this plastic mold, or like Han Solo when he gets stuck in whatever the hell he gets stuck in, Jabba the Hutt's magic sludge. I don't remember the movie. Okay, I don't remember. She got stuck in it, and she talks about how that balance is so important, and you don't want to get overtaken by your persona, but you want to use it like a tool. And I've been thinking lately about this theory, just that a lot of the people that died at 27 really went too hard into the persona and didn't realize or didn't know how to cope with the fact that there's two of you. There is the internal, intimate you that your friends and family sees, and there's this part of you can bring out for your craft on stage. And some people's psyches just really, like, these are the born performers. Their psyches just innately understand it. I would say theater kids definitely understand it. Hello, theater kids, if you're listening, you understand it. Dancers and people that go on, they understand it. They understand that you're putting on this role, whether or not it has, super similarity to who you are, if it's a pumped up version of who you are, or sometimes it's not who you are, but it's something you put on. The people that get really swallowed up, are the ones that don't make it out. And if you're too young, like I think 27 now is being a baby. I think of that as a baby now, as I'm almost turning 40, turning 39 this year. I think if you are 27, it's really hard to get a handle on that and to understand that viscerally. And it must be very confusing I really started the Crushers in earnest at about 27, actually. So I was already out of that stage. I'd already been playing in bands. I'd had 3 or 4 other bands, 5 bands before that, of varying degrees of success and varying genres, from bluegrass to country to punk. And I had a grip on the performing angle and what it is and how it works and how it makes you feel and how you come down from that, at least somewhat. And I'm grateful for that, because the ones that get that success early and don't understand that there has to be this, vulnerable part of you that you have to protect and you have to care for and nurture, and that this superhero version of you, in the best case scenario, is a kind of a guardian for that. Not a shell, but kind of a shield in a way. And I just don't think that this is something that we're taught. The energetics of this and the psychological aspects of this are not taught. I mean, I guess if you went to a performing arts school, maybe. Tell me if I'm wrong. If you went to acting school or you went to, you learned method acting or whatever. Am I wrong? This is something that would be so helpful and could serve this artistic community so much, and could probably prevent overdoses and deaths and reckless behavior, I would think, to kind of give people a way to navigate this, funhouse. So reading this book has been really illuminating. She kind of rubs elbows with a lot of people from the 90s, including Dave Grohl, who I saw crowd surfing when I saw Motorhead, my favorite concert ever, which was 2005, on their reunion tour in Los Angeles at the Wiltern Theater, seeing Dave Grohl stage dive past me. She has a lot of, things to say about the 90s and sending love stories and love notes through fax to her crushes and making collages in her free time and taking photos. Hello. And taking photos of all the crowds and things with her analog camera. No social media back then, obviously. There was such a disconnect between the press and the artist, and that was kind of a protective thing, I would say. So there's just a lot there if you're interested in 90s. And the 90s didn't feel that far away until recently for me. And now when I look and I listen and I read about that era, I'm like transported back. I turned 13 in the year 2000. I believe. Don't make me do math. So I kind of miss the 90s, and I wasn't a, freewheeling adult person in the 90s. But I imagine it being very romantic and beautiful. And this book does kind of give you that dreamy feeling, as well as inspiring you to want to go to Montreal, because although the whole French side of it is a little intimidating, I could imagine the European-ness of it and its, vitality as an art city is just really unique. And from people that live there now that tell me about it, I just think, wow, it sounds like a New York, but an older, Frencher, maybe more stuck-up New York. That's just a lot more European. So maybe that's going to be on the bucket list next, is Montreal. Okay, so anyways, we'll see you guys in Denver. I think I'll have another podcast for you before we take off. We're leaving on May 20th to drive out there. Thank you for anyone who came out to Space Dive. Thank you to the people that are just tuning in because of Space Dive. You guys are the best. May the force be with you always. See you next week. Sparkle hard.